This is the second video in this series where we're making this carved pumpkin. I wanted to kind of give you another idea, again, of what this pumpkin is going to look like when it's finished. Let's go ahead and use our handout, and this is posted at Google Classroom. And I'll walk you through these steps, step by step. So let's go ahead and get started with that. I'm going to go ahead and do a new file. So File, New, or a Control N. And then in our directions, it says to do 500 pixels by 500 pixels. So you'll come over here to the size, type in 500 on width and height, and then choose pixels. Also make sure that your RGB color mode is set here. This is your color mode where you have different types of color modes that you can choose from, but we will want to use the RGB color usually in this class. All right, and then name this. Let's go ahead and name our file, last name pumpkin. And click Create. And that'll give you a new canvas. Again, you can zoom in with a Control plus or zoom out with a Control minus. So kind of get your canvas where you're comfortable with it. I'll just leave mine right there. And then the next thing we're going to do is draw an ellipse. Our colors that they're asking us to use are a black background. So if I click on my black square down here at the bottom of the tool bar, you'll see your color picker, and the square in the back is your background color. So choose black by clicking in this area here and click OK. And then we want our foreground color to be orange. And again, you can make this a different color if you really want to. I'm going to go ahead and stay with an orange pumpkin. And then we're going to move up the toolbar. If you can see here from our color picker, if you move up, right click on the shape tool here, and you'll see you might have had a rectangle or a polygon, but we're looking for the ellipse tool. That's what we're going to use to make our circle. So click ellipse, and then click down in your canvas and draw a circle. All right, and it will look something like that. When you hit enter, it'll set it. All right, if you don't like how it turned out, you can always hit a Control Z to undo it and draw it again. So just draw one ellipse right now. And that's our first step. The next thing we're going to do is apply the shading around the outside of the ellipse. So I'm going to go ahead and tap these properties in here. And with that, now we're going to start getting into our layer styles. So if you look over here in your layers panel, and if you don't have that, come up to Window, go to the drop-down menu at Window, and make sure that layers is checked right here. And the same thing always goes for your tools and your options as well. They're at the bottom of this drop-down, but that will give you this toolbar and the options bar that give you more choices with your tools. All right, so I'm coming over here, select the layer that's called Ellipse 1. And again, we're in your layer panel over here. With that selected, kind of double click on that to open up your layer styles. And you'll see this box that comes up that says Layer Style. And we want to go to the bar right here that is called Inner Shadow. And it'll be checked, but you should also have it selected. Checking it applies whatever changes you made. Selecting the actual bar right here will give you tools to work with that inner shadow. So you really need to have both selected if you want that to apply to your project. All right, with that, come up here to the blend mode where I'm at right now and go to linear burn. And this is in your handout, so select linear burn. And then with that, kind of check your opacity here. If your opacity is ever at 0%, it's a transparent thing and you won't be able to see it. So you can kind of see that this will change what your shadow is going to look like. A great way to double check this is to drag this box out of the way a little bit so that you can see your circle, and then you can see what's happening to that burn there, okay? We also kind of want the settings to kind of mirror what you've got in your handout here. So again, if you go back to that handout, I'm working in this area here, and here's where you can check your linear burn, your opacity, distance, choke, and size, and then there's also an angle involved here and global light. So if it's not quite looking like this, check all of your settings right here. They're important. And with your circle kind of showing, you can see what they all kind of do. So I'm going to go ahead and type in about 120 here. I'm going to try and get mine to the settings that are on our example here. And then you can also kind of change the color in here. Right now mine is set at black. I'm going to go ahead and make mine kind of more of a darker orange because I don't really want a really strong contrast like black would do. I want it to be kind of a light orange and a dark orange. And you can see that when I do that, now the shadow changes around here. All right, so kind of play around with yours. You can, put all kinds of different colors and it just makes a shadow of that color. But I'm going to go ahead and go with kind of a monochromatic dark orange and medium orange on that. All right, click OK on that. And then you can kind of see when I change the size, it makes that shade a little bit thicker or a little bit thinner. So kind of get that to where you'd like it as you're adjusting, and then click OK on that. All right. Okay, the cool thing now is that we're gonna just go ahead and copy this. So your directions say now use the ellipse shape tool again, but we are not going to do that. We're just going to copy this one. So go ahead and put your directions down for right now and kind of notice what I'm doing here with mine. I'm going to come in here to this layer that we've put shadows on, and I'm going to right click and go to duplicate layer. All right, so right click and duplicate layer. And it's just going to say ellipse 1 copy. That's fine in this case. Normally I want you to really name your layers, but in this project it's not as important. All right, so we're in this ellipse 1 copy. Select that layer and hit Control and T, as in transform. Control T. All right, and that gives us that box back now. And if you hold the Shift key down, it will kind of hold that to where you're just using the left and the right. Okay, it'll kind of hold the top 2 points here in place. All right, so that was a Control T, and it gave me this free transform tool. And now I can resize that, and this is where you can start making all the different sections of your pumpkin. All right, when you get it where you like it, hit Enter, and that kind of sets it. And hit Enter again. All right, let's go ahead and do that a few more times. Select the layer you just resized, right click, duplicate layer, click OK, and now hit Control T again, and you'll see it gave you a copy when you duplicated that layer of that circle. Whoops, let me go back here. Hold the Shift key down, and that again, that'll hold your top and bottom points in place while you resize the left to right. Okay, again, just making sections of a pumpkin. And then hit Enter and Enter. And do that just as many times as you need to create the different parts of your pumpkin. All right, again, duplicate, select that layer, Control T, hold the Shift key down, resize left, and resize right. And I think I'm going to kind of be done. If you ever want to go back into the other layers with that, or like just now I need to hit a Control Z. A Control Z will step you back 1 step. I'm going to actually go back in to my other layers and bring them in a little bit. So if you look here, if I come back into my layer stack over here, this little blue line will show you what shape you're working with. So I can even go back into other layers and Control T and resize those two if I kind of want to go back. Whoops, and again, hold the Shift key. If you want to step back 1 here. Right, and that'll, yeah, because sometimes if you don't hold that Shift key down, it'll drag your top points off and then it gets kind of weird. So yeah, with the Shift key down, that'll set that to where you can just kind of work left to right. And then now that I've got that, I've got this pumpkin ready to carve. So if you need to pause the video and get to this point, or if you need to rewind this video at all, feel free to go ahead and do that. And then in the next video, we'll talk about actually carving the different parts of this. We'll get into some using a T tool, the text tool as well. So I wanted to just remind you as you're working here that what we used as far as a shortcut here was a Control T. And let me get that. So let me just actually go up to here to the edit. It's the free transform, Control plus T. So if you need a reminder of what we did to resize there, and then holding the Shift key down while you're moving that will hold it in place so you can just use the left to right on that. Okay, I'm gonna hop out of this and we'll carve the pumpkin's face in the next project, in the next video. So make sure you get to this point right now.